So my name is Laura Lamica. I'm a professor in languages. I'm joined with a few of my colleagues today, Elizabeth Churchia from music, Laura Ducate from languages, Kunio Hara from music, and then Nina Moreno from languages and literatures. And we're really excited to talk to you today a little bit about a tool that we've been using this semester called Yellow Dig. And if you think about Yellow Dig in a nutshell, it's based on the traditional discussion board that you might be familiar with in Blackboard or other platforms that you've used traditional discussion board, but it's got an innovative twist to it, and we want to tell you a little bit more about that today. It does a really interesting job of integrating social media into the discussion board. It's very participatory, and it really gets students engaged. So we want to talk to you and show you some examples from Yellow Dig, which is kind of, I think, like a discussion board on steroids. It's got a new twist to it. And so we want to walk you through how it's different and what it might be able to offer to you in your teaching, particularly in this setting that we're in right now with COVID. So Yellow Dig is a nonlinear type of board. So you don't just do one topic, close it up, and then start a new topic. The discussion topics stay active and students stay engaged in the topics throughout the semester. Yellow Dig also has the ability to link videos or links of articles that students might find online. Students can share emojis or images with each other. I really like that it promotes this active and continuous engagement because it's not linear and students keep engaging with the topics. And they do this in kind of a points or gamification aspect because they, depending on what kind of posts they make or what kind of comments they make, or if they leave an emoji or a like on someone else's post, that all gives them points. And so they're trying to accumulate a certain number of points each week. So it's kind of like a game for them. But one of the best things about this, one of the best features, is all those points are automatically taken back into Blackboard. And so the grading is done automatically for you. So as the instructor, you don't have to feel like you have to go and assign points to different things that they do. You can actually just feel free to participate in the discussions with them and enjoy the engagement that's going on. So their participation is incentivized through this game-like method that Yellow Dig uses. It's got a real social media type feel to it, but I think the learners drive the discussions. They think about topics that might be interesting to discuss. They can create their own topics. You can propose topics as the teacher. And then the platform itself provides analytics about the learners, who's engaging, who's not. And you can nudge students if they're not engaging and, kind of figure out what's going on. Is there something that's keeping you from engaging? You're not getting your points that you need to get for the semester. And then you can also search and filter. You can search for topics. You can filter by topics to kind of see who's engaging where and to participate yourself. So Yellow Dig, starts with that typical traditional discussion board, but it goes a lot further in making conversations and engagement very fun for the students. And so we're going to show you next some examples from each of our classes, and I'm going to hand things over to Laura Ducate.
Okay, so all of us who are giving this presentation have been using it this semester. So we have a slide from each of us just to give you an idea of how we've been using it, and it'll hopefully show you some of the things that Yellow Dig can do. So Laura and I are both teaching an intermediate, well, she's teaching intermediate French, I'm teaching an intermediate German class this semester, and we both have partners in Germany and France. So this is also a great way for them to be able to interact with our students, and sometimes, with Blackboard, that's a little difficult to bring in outside people. So that was pretty seamless. They were able to sign up for the community as well. So they are communicating in English and in German or French, and the partners as well, so it's a language exchange. So here you can see the French partner is giving his introduction, so here's a little bit of text and then the video and then the comments underneath. We've had a variety of topics this semester. So we've talked about COVID, of course. They introduced their home and their school. They'll talk about the election. We've also talked about Black Lives Matter in both countries. So you can see in this other example, races, symbols, and monuments, someone's talking about this comment that has to do with Black Lives Matter. Nina is teaching a course, Spanish language and Hispanic cultures in the US, and so she's been using it in that course, which is all in Spanish. So you can see some examples. If you notice at the top where it says preguntas, there's a tag function. So when you write your post, you can tag it according to a certain topic. So that way, if you wanted to go back and look up questions, what are different questions students had, you can click on that tag and find all of those questions. So you can see again the initial post, and then underneath the comments to that, underneath the Gullah example, you can see that someone posted a link to an ad. So I think it's a great way that students, they can post videos, they can post pictures, they can post links to other things that they find in the news that maybe have to do with your course. It's also a great way for them to interact with the course content outside of your class. In languages, there's never enough time for them to speak the language. So this is a great way to carry it through the week when they wouldn't normally be interacting in Spanish or German or French otherwise. So here's another example. This is from my German class, intermediate German. So you can see on the left side, a student is introducing the university, and then underneath is a student comment. And then on the right side, this is one of the posts from a German student, and he posted a map of how many cases there are currently in Germany. And then to the right of that, you can see where my students posted different comments and questions for them. So the conversation keeps going, and especially popular posts will go to the top. So they anything that's trending, kind of like in real social media, is at the top of the page. Here's another course, Music 744, Historic Sounds of Colombia. This is Cunio's course. So you can see students are talking about the research topic. They can use this as a forum to brainstorm that. Another student found something that he wanted to share, so he's able to post that picture. And then finally, Introduction to Film Music course. Notice again the tags. So the instructor, Elizabeth, was able to post the initial question, and then it even has the survey option, so that gives students kind of somewhere to start. They can think about how they would respond to that survey, and then they could write some responses to that. And then in the example on the right side, you can see a student ask, can anyone help? I'm still having trouble understanding this concept. And then other students respond to that. So rather than the instructor being the expert, the other students are able to share their knowledge as well. So I think it's, if we think about what Patty was talking about to us about this morning in terms of democracy and students as actors, this really encourages that from the students. So I will turn it over to Nina to talk a little bit about a survey that we gave our students to see what they think about this.
Thanks, Lara. So yeah, speaking of surveys, we gave our students a survey of about 7 questions last week to find out how they're liking or not liking this new tool. So as of October 6th, we had a total of 104 responses, and we've just included some screenshots of 4 of those questions. The first one is on enjoyment, if they have enjoyed participating using Yellow Dig, and you can see that 90% of the participants either checked agree or strongly agree. With question 2, it had to do with their preference of Yellow Dig over the traditional Blackboard discussion board, which is what they were mostly familiar with. And again, an overwhelming majority, 85%, checked agree or strongly agree. And it was just 6% who said that they disagreed or strongly disagreed. We were also interested in learning about how they thought this tool allowed them to engage with others to build community. And we had 88% say that they agreed that it helped them in building a stronger community within the classroom, especially in these times where some of us are teaching fully online or having just a hybrid class. There's not much time to engage right before class in informal chit chat maybe, but Yellow Dig, I think, makes up for for the lack of interpersonal communication more directly that we haven't had this semester. And the fifth one that we included here in this chart had to do with motivation, how it motivated or not motivated them to participate more frequently in a discussion board. 80% agreed or strongly agreed, and this was perhaps the highest percentage we had in which students showed a neutral choice. And then other questions that we didn't post on this slide, but that we did ask was regarding community building on its own. And again, the majority thought that this was a great community building tool. And a lot of them mentioned that they would like to see the use of this tool in other classes. And then the next slide shows you some of the testimonials, some of the qualitative data that we also collected. I've bolded and underlined the most important concepts so that you don't have to read all the sentences that we included, but most of them had to do with the ability to interact more with their classmates, the flexibility in the choice of topics that came up in the discussion board, the freedom to talk about whatever they thought was interesting. It really allows them to connect the contents of the courses they're taking with the outside world. So if there's something that they read about, saw on TV, or even learned in other classes, they're able to bring that into the discussion board on Yellow Dig. They thought it was fun because it really follows social media, the social media format. They can include emojis, like each other's posts. So it's also a way of encouraging each other to continue participating because the layout is so similar to social media. And their feeling is that it allows them to go into more in-depth discussions and have more of a classroom feel, which, as I said before, is something that we haven't had much of this semester. Maybe on the negative points, what they mention is that there's a lot of emphasis on the points that they accrue every week. So they have to get to a certain point of number of points per week that then totals a desired maximum at the end of the semester. The instructor sets those, and I think most of us have used the suggestion that Yellow Dig had, which is about 1,200 points per week. So of course, students still feel a little bit of pressure to get to those points. Although if you slack a little bit on week 3, you're able to make it up the following week. So maybe if you're busy with other classes or just have life happening and you don't get to the maximum points this week, it's not the end of the world. However, since they do feel a little bit of pressure, sometimes they've expressed that they don't always have good quality posts every time they get in there. Some have said that they forget to go on the site sometimes, although we have linked it to Blackboard. And for some, it seems confusing to keep up with the different threads or how it links to the different chapters we've been looking at in class. But they have also, many mentioned that in the dislike column, they have nothing that they dislike about it. So that was good to hear. So I'm gonna leave the floor over to Elizabeth now.
Hello. First, I have some construction going on outside, so I apologize in advance if it gets noisy. But I'm going to be wrapping up some of the ideas from today. I don't know if we can go to the next wrap-up slide. Thank you. So what we have collectively experienced with Yellow Dig is a re-envisioning of engagement and participation by both what the student and the instructors are doing in the discussion board. Instructors are free of the time burden that comes with manually grading discussion boards, so they can instead spend their time engaging with students and rewarding exemplary posts. So there's less bean counting and more direct interaction with your students. Students, in turn, have more agency in what they can post and discuss, which allows them to feel free to exercise their own judgment and creativity as they engage with the course concepts. Their agency in what they post, in turn, helps them build a learning discussion community that has a unique culture that reflects their collective personalities and unique interests. So Yellow Dig is really putting students in the driver's seat as actors in their online discussion community. Instructors can create these organizational tags by topics and mandate that students use them. That's an option that you have. And this is analogous to sort of like bumpers in bowling. It prevents students from going off the rails into the gutter and just talking about completely irrelevant topics, but students are still the ones that get to throw the ball and decide how they're applying the concepts. The gamified point system is designed to encourage quality posts, so students are motivated to post in a really thought-provoking and engaging manner because then they'll earn points more quickly and have to post less ultimately. So we believe that YellowDig solves a lot of the issues with traditional discussion boards and democratizes the discussion. And I've really enjoyed seeing it transform what the online discussion board experience is like as someone who's taught online for a couple years now. So I'm going to pass over now to Dr. Kunio Hara, who's going to introduce our demo discussion board where you all can join and test it out.
Hello, everybody. We were able to create a community, a website for October Best. So we are inviting everybody here to click the link that I posted on the chat and experience this firsthand. So this might include some email confirmation, and this might ask you to check your email to make sure that you're who you say are who you are. But after that, you should be able to join the YellowDig community. And while you do this, I will like to share my screen, if that is an option. Yes. And I am also told that YellowDig, the guys who are responsible for this, putting this together, have created a community for us that will last through October 19th. And this will enable us to continue this discussion as we move ahead. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen. So here are some of the discussion that we're going so far. I have posted a post up here. This is a pin post. Every time you create a post, you have an option to pin it so that it shows up at the top of the screen. And there's some responses. Some students have responded by, or the participant in this case has responded by putting an emoji here, and then has added an additional comment. I have a little share post about pictures of pets, which seem to have been very popular, at least among this group. And here's some interesting function here is a poll that you can create that Elizabeth has chosen here. These are some of the responses that 5 of us have, the benefit of using YellowDig. And further down, you have information, more detailed information about the YellowDig company, who tells you, these posts will tell you exactly how the point system works and how the different functions of this is.
Someone in the chat asked how it links to a specific course. That kind of happens from the back end. So Mitchell West helped us with that once we had the account with Blackboard or with YellowDig.
And that's also how it knows to bring those points from your students directly back into Blackboard so that you don't have to worry about checking to see who's made a comment or a post, but all of that gets figured in by the tool itself and then brought into Blackboard automatically, which is a really neat feature.
And maybe something we haven't gone into a lot of detail because we were afraid we wouldn't have enough time is the whole points issue. So you assign how many points you want students to get for posting an original comment or post, and then, for instance, in my course, it's 250 points for having the primary post. And then for comments that follow that post, they get 150 points. For reactions, I think they get 75 points. And I think Kunya's showing us exactly that, the rewards system. Thanks, Kunya.
Sure. And another really interesting thing is that the points are assigned not just by instructor, but by the participants. So so participants are rewarded for commenting, and then the comment that received the response also is rewarded for having elicited a comment. So it kind of creates this environment where mutual engagement becomes a motivation for students to do better. and create a community. And also an interesting way of really giving the power of assigning points away from the instructor to the students themselves. So they're, in fact, they're grading themselves in some ways.
So a couple people have asked about funding, and I just want to clarify. So, and we kind of responded to this in the chat, but right now, Yellowdig offered us a free use of this until the end of the year. And right now, the way the contract is we need to find funding for it if we want to keep using it in 2021. So we're trying to figure that out. The way they work, it's not necessarily that students pay for their own subscription, so it's more of like a university would pay for it. So we're trying to figure that out. I'm not sure who to give you as the main contact person right now if you're interested. Maybe you could tell Laura Lamaika and me, maybe Mitchell West. He's involved. I don't want to put this on you, Mitchell. Feel free to say no. Anyway, if you're interested and wanted to sort of help us think about creative ways to get funding.
Okay, another feature of Yellowdig, thank you, Laura, for the funding issue. I think this is a very important thing, is the students would see a screen like this. And this tells me that I have to earn 375 points within this time period. In this case, Yellowdig calculates points by week. So I had to earn 375 points. And then this tells you how much points I have, how many percentage I have completed. So because the students are graded essentially by the completion grade from the computer or the Yellowdig website, they receive the points immediately. They don't have to sit around for a week for the instructor to grade them. So I think that also motivates students to participate because they can see the progress very quickly. Oh, let's talk about accolades. So, for example, if a student or a participant made a particularly insightful, interesting post, you can give, as an instructor or facilitator, you can give an accolade, which is an additional point that you can give a particular post. So again, so the students are feel good about receiving this, and other students see this and they want to figure out how to get these accolades.